Anne Boleyn, the second wife of King Henry VIII of England, began her life as queen in a moment filled with excitement and anticipation. The day of her coronation at the Tower of London was one of great significance for the country, marking a new chapter in English history. Anne had captured the heart of Henry, leading him to divorce his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, and break away from the authority of the Pope in Rome. He had even established the Church of England to marry Anne, showing just how much he desired to be with her. As Anne stepped out to greet the crowds, she was met with cheers and applause. Henry had gone to great lengths to make her his queen, and the initial joy of their union was palpable. However, this happiness would not last long. Just under 3 years later, Anne would find herself imprisoned in the very tower where she had once been crowned, facing accusations that would lead to her tragic downfall. Their relationship had taken 7 difficult years to blossom into marriage, and now it was struggling under the weight of expectations. Anne had promised Henry a son to secure the Tudor dynasty, but she initially gave birth to a daughter, Elizabeth. This disappointment weighed heavily on Henry, who had already discarded Catherine for failing to produce a male heir. In the world of the Tudors, a king's image was everything, and Henry felt the pressure to show he could ensure the continuation of his lineage. A sketch by the artist Hans Holbein showed Henry as a strong and virile man, emphasizing his masculinity. However, in reality, he was struggling with health issues that made it difficult for him to have children. The illustration exaggerated his features and presented him in a way that highlighted his supposed strength, which was crucial in a time when masculinity and virility were closely tied to a king's reputation. From the very start, the marriage between Henry and Anne was fraught with pressure to produce a male heir. A song composed for Anne's coronation underscored this expectation, referring to her as a symbol of grace and fertility. But as time went on, rumors began to circulate that Anne was pregnant again. Unfortunately, there's little record of her potential pregnancies, leading some to believe she may have experienced phantom pregnancies, where a woman believes she is pregnant but is not. The tension in their marriage was compounded by the fact that many Catholics refused to accept Anne as queen, leading to conflict and bloodshed. To solidify his position, Henry passed laws declaring himself the supreme head of the Church of England and asserting that any children he had with Anne would be the rightful heirs to the throne. Those who opposed this oath were treated as traitors, leading to executions and further unrest. One notable case involved John Houghton, the prior of Charterhouse, who refused to accept Henry's authority. He and several monks were executed for their defiance, adding to the turmoil surrounding Henry and Anne's reign. The deaths of dissenters only intensified the pressure on the couple to produce a male heir. Despite their struggles, there were moments of happiness for Henry and Anne. They spent time together at a castle in Gloucestershire, where they were described as being merry and in love. However, underlying this joy was the relentless pressure to have a son, which weighed heavily on Anne. In early 1536, just after Henry's first wife Catherine passed away, Anne was once again believed to be pregnant. The death of Catherine removed a significant obstacle to Anne's position as queen, but the couple's good fortune quickly turned sour. A jousting accident left Henry severely injured, and he became increasingly brutal and cruel in his dealings. This change in personality affected their marriage, and shortly after his accident, Anne suffered a miscarriage. This loss was devastating, and it was rumored that Anne's shock from Henry's injury contributed to the miscarriage. Henry's disappointment was palpable, as he felt that God was not blessing him with male heirs. As rumors spread that Henry had lost interest in Anne, the court became rife with gossip. Anne was never a popular queen, and without a son, she became vulnerable to those who wished to see her downfall. The Spanish ambassador, Eustace Chapuis, reported on the court's gossip, claiming that Anne was in disgrace and that Henry was courting another woman, Jane Seymour, who was a lady-in-waiting. While Anne's reputation suffered, Henry still put pressure on the Spanish king to recognize her as his queen. However, scandalous rumors began to surface, accusing Anne of having affairs with several men, including Henry Norris, one of Henry's closest friends. These rumors were damaging, and Henry took them seriously, launching an investigation into the allegations. The accusations against Anne were baseless, but the court was quick to believe the worst. On May Day, while the couple was celebrating,